A society with no respect and no honor is destined for the garbage bin. I shared how at the Thanksgiving table at my house, there was some issues that I had with a family member that refused to sit at the table that I asked them to sit at so that we could make room for people who were older, just because I believe that that sign of respect is something that doesn't need to be lost in our society today. And when we lose it, we lose a whole bunch of other things. Suffice to say, when we start to lose that respect, we're going to lose kindness, we're going to lose compassion, we're going to lose morality, we're going to lose concern for the other. And I don't know, if you don't like getting cut off in grocery store lines, then maybe you should also respect other people in the way maybe the Bible tells us to respect other people. Suffice to say, if we do not find that respect and we do not be considerate of neighbors, even strangers, then what we may find is that we're building up resentment and animosity towards others on a regular basis, and we are all at each other's throats. Could it be that we are a society without honor because we don't really understand honor anymore, because we've removed, one of the primary sources of what it looks like to really honor elders and respect and honor others? Maybe we've gotten rid of that and therefore put nothing in its place. Suffice to say, that could be why hate is such a prominent facet of society here in our present. And I want to show you a clip where Jim Breuer, comedian, former SNL cast member, and now very outspoken conservative comedian, does a great bit that I only hope is not too late, because I think sometimes the idiocracy nature of our culture sometimes misses the things that are right in front of our face, and sometimes people are so blinded by hate that they can't see the point that Jim is trying to make here. But suffice to say, if it's not too late, some of you will not only find this funny, but you'll find it actually pretty thought-provoking. So here's Jim Breuer on Trump derangement syndrome.
You have to admit, even if you're like, I don't care, as long as it's not you know who. That was like a demonic, like the devil came out and just whoever, like, we're gonna make people hate Donald Trump, hate. Get him. I hate Donald Trump. He's a racist. He's a white supremacist, insurrectionist.
Now, maybe you saw this at your Thanksgiving table as well. It is interesting to me that especially older white women who lean to the left can sometimes be incredibly sweet. But maybe your grandma's like this, and all of a sudden you bring up Donald Trump, and there's just something that stirs up inside of them, a hatred that is so dark that you would be hard-pressed to find some other subject where that person can muster up that kind of hatred and that kind of vitriol. In fact, I would argue that the kind of hatred and vitriol that most people have for Donald Trump is something that you should probably be ashamed of to have for any other human being. I mean, I know you've heard the mainstream media call him Hitler for ages and generations, but to date, he has not actually killed any Jews. He has not actually put together any gas chambers. So perhaps the hate that you have for Donald Trump should be reserved for the devil and his angels and not necessarily this man. And perhaps it is a clear sign of programming in the Matrix that has caused us to hate in this way so blindly. Now, I just simply want to just say this, that I understand there are people who diss Joe Biden and who deeply hate Joe Biden. But I'm going to argue that I don't believe that there is moral equivalency here on right and left. Sure, there are people who endlessly mock Joe Biden as a pedophile, and they actually think that he truly is a pedophile. And they don't necessarily have the evidence other than oddly sniffing young people's hair on a regular basis to claim such a thing. And it's kind of a hateful thing to claim somebody's a pedophile without actually having the evidence to do so. Needless to say, you can argue, right, that there's moral equivalency here, but it just seems clear to me that the kind of hatred that people possess for Donald Trump on the left, there is no moral equivalency on the right for that. Sure, people may hate Joe Biden, but it is not to the same level as the way people hate Donald Trump. Now, there's some people who are just like, I don't care, it's an American president, hate them regardless. And all the more Like, how do you say, I want to do the devil's work without doing the devil's work? The kind of blind hatred. Anybody who's the president deserves to be hated. Okay, the kind of blind hatred that's on full display, even in Free Palestine protests against Jews. And maybe you could even argue the opposite. Regardless, not only do I not believe there's moral equivalency, but just hate in general is more common, it seems, right now than it was in recent memory. And so here's what I have to say about that. And I believe that this is where Christians can be of great value. It's not that we always get this right, but we have some tenets, some moral beliefs, some value systems that allow us to enter into heated conversations. And again, not that we always get it right, but enter into heated conversations with people who are diametrically opposed to us. And then to do so aggressively and to do so forcefully, but to do so also while desiring the best for the other person. See, this is what Thomas Aquinas called real love. And we don't really see it enough because Christianity has been removed from the West by and large, as we live in a post-Christian society today. But Thomas Aquinas believed that love is willing the good of the other, desiring what is best for the other. Now, that doesn't always feel good, but it always is good. And this is where Christians can help in a society that is so filled and blinded by hate. So I want to encourage you, whether Christian or not, always be thoughtful. Always argue thoughtfully. See, arguing has a bad connotation. Yes, you are supposed to argue. And by argue, I don't mean yell at people. Please get a dictionary. What I mean is thoughtfully hash out your ideas with others. Pull and attack those ideas for the purposes of greater understanding. Argue thoughtfully, always. Critique and criticize often. Mock even when necessary, but hate rarely. Just recently I saw this video of what I think is very, very sad. Of a young man who is trying to become a woman and had voice surgery. And in a society of hate, I think it might be easy to hate this person for what they stand for and what they did. But the only emotion that I could muster for this person is pity. So I want you to see it. So here's a man who's going to give us before and after with his, I don't know what it's actually called, but we'll call it voice reassignment, where he was having surgery on his throat to try to change his voice to sound more like a woman. So check it out.
Okay, it has now been 15 months since my first voice feminization surgery. Spent $20,000, had 3 different procedures. This is probably about as good as it's going to get. So let's do a little before and after, but we are not going to do the Tired Rainbow passage. Instead, we are going to do lyrics from a late 80s UK band called Pop Will Eat Itself. Here goes, before and after.
1, 2, check, high tech in stereo. Quad row, any way you go but loose. 1001 uses, we got the juice, the bruise, the fuses.
The volume in this room is much too groomed. We need a big bad boom. Noise KO, disco inferno.
Because what you just saw is so sad, I don't think it's right to mock this guy or even to hate him for what he did or to hate him for posting this on social media where he's encouraging other people to do it. That certainly is a hateful thing. I think what we need to respond to this guy with is the kind of compassion that the world really needs right now. Is we need to pray for this guy, and we need to use him as an example of why what we're doing in society today is so incredibly irrational and so empty and devoid of real meaning and purpose. It's so self-defeating.
So you just got done watching a small excerpt of a much larger episode. You can find the link to that full episode down below in the description of this video. So you definitely want to check that out, because if you like that clip, you'll like the much larger episode. And while you're at it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and click that little bell to be notified when great new episodes of Indie Thinker come your way. Thanks for watching.